I've been everywhere, man, looking for someone who can please me, love me all night long. I've been everywhere, man, looking for you, babe, searching for you, babe. Where have you been? 'Cause I never see you out. Are you hiding from me? Yeah. Somewhere in the crowd. Where have you been all my life? Bota na boca, bota na cara, bota onde quiser. Bota na boca, bota na cara, bota na boca, bota na cara, bota na boca, bota na cara. I've been everywhere, man, looking for someone who can please me, love me all night long.
I'm a bit of a racist, to be honest.
Whoa.
It was a gang of Asians that I attacked. I started it, and I finished it, too.
Wow.
A quote from Eddie Hall from 2013. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Large Lads, the largest show on the internet with all of your breaking news.
I remember we found that dumb article where it was Eddie Hall bragging about being a bit of a racist
And attacking Asians.
just being like, yeah, I just randomly attacked some, just being like, you know who's really cool? Mark Wahlberg. I'm gonna stolen valor Mark Wahlberg.
It's such an insane article because
Like, I don't even believe that actually happened.
the two notes are like, I attacked Asians, and also I would love to be a James Bond villain. That seems like my perfect role in Hollywood.
That was such a good. That was a really early attempt at branding.
Yeah, to be like...
Did he say he said his scar was from the attack on some Asian fellas?
I think you said he got fucked up, and then also it took him 20 police officers to pin him down.
Damn, that's
Because he
crazy.
was like in an altercation with a woman in the street.
What a badass.
Yeah, this guy's a really cool guy.
And then in his, I know in his like the old doc, he claimed that his like scar was from when he was working as a mechanic, a piece of metal. It's weird that that's gone. Whatever. All right. Well, opening Eddie Hall slander aside, what else we got to talk about today, there, brother?
Was an opening topic, early strength inspos. I was gonna ask you first, Kirsten. You know, Sam and I, it was just every large, like fictional character. Pretty cool, inspiring to be large. You're a woman. What was inspiring to you?
I like Christy Hawkins a lot, especially because she was a bodybuilder and then went over to powerlifting. I feel like a lot of the best untested women are from a bodybuilding background, which is kind of interesting. But
Yeah.
Christy's cool. She's still getting better, right? She tore her tricep
Yeah.
not that recently
while
anymore,
ago,
but a
yeah.
while ago it just came back super sick. It was sad though. You guys saw that video that went around that was like, people don't know that the best powerlifter is actually a woman named Christy Hawkins. And then she got everyone in the comments was so mean to her. I was like, please stop, guys. What is going on?
This has been a weird thing in powerlifting is like rage baiting on other people's behalf. That's like fucked up. I've
Yeah.
been seeing that a lot. Or like the people who post like women's bench arches being like, what are our thoughts on this, guys? And it's like, you're posting that to dunk on women. What a weird thing.
Christy did nothing wrong. She didn't even make the video claiming she was the best powerlifter. And then everyone's like, she's not lifting the most weight. This is a man. I was like,
Guys, I was just asking for people's opinions. I had no idea the comment section was going to be so toxic.
I mean, speaking of, you know who I have beef with?
Let's rip it.
I'm on war mode. I don't remember which one of them it is, but one of those lifting vault type channels that
Yep.
like highlights lifts, one of them is a cocksucker. Like he has absolutely deliberately leaned into a toxic community to grow his channel and then feigns ignorance. And he posted like a teenage girl doing a big bench press with a big arch. And the title was, "The comments will be interesting." So you're just signing up a literal child to get signed. You know exactly what you're doing, you piece of shit. Fuck you.
It's
What the fuck, dude?
Like you could make a defense for this, right?
Yeah.
Just doesn't. Being like, this is an impressive bench regardless or whatever, right? But just be like, cool, the comment
The
section's
comments
gonna
are
be
going to be,
interesting.
fuck you. God damn it. Whoever that is, fuck you. God damn it.
You just did clout chasing and be like, I'm growing this
His
sport of
audience was
powerlifting.
like turning on him a little bit, which I kind of liked. They're like, post your lifts. How about you post your lifts? And I was like, ooh, it's almost like if you lean into negativity to grow your channel, eventually it backlashes on you. Right? Or, I watch a reasonable amount of MMA Guru, and it's like you kind of reap what you sow with that one, where it's like if you lean into controversy and a little negativity as your flair to grow your channel, yeah, maybe the live chat in your live streams isn't the most positive place. You're not going to have a really fun time live streaming.
Yeah, it is very funny, like the transition from dudes on the internet like fostering a negative community to becoming like a miserable lolcow because all of the people that financially support them also hate them and just want to see their life get worse.
You know you fucked up when your stream chat starts looking like the crack streams chat.
Sick reference. Sick. For those of you who know, you know. Yeah, I like that. That's an interesting one, especially because a lot of those guys like they pretend to be a lolcow at first, right? Where they're like kind of baiting people to like make fun of them, and that's like a good way to drive engagement. But it gradually eats away at them until they're actually kind of a non-self-aware type lolcow figure. But early lifting inspirations, I talked about this in that little video I put up.
Yeah.
Hannibal for King was like a calisthenic, like a street workout calisthenics guy, kind of like one of the guys, his videos on YouTube kickstarted like a lot of the modern calisthenics movement. I saw that when I was 10 and I started doing like push-ups and sit-ups and pull-ups every day. And that was like kind of my start into outside of boxing, like other physical training, and especially my like start into resistance training. And then down the line, Dan Green, like just the cool. I'm like, this is the cool. This is the pinnacle of coolness. I should just attempt to be this guy.
It's very funny the idea that a calisthenics like street lifting video is technically like the origin of like the whole Sheether training channel. Like, like I wouldn't have gotten lifting, or I wouldn't have started lifting if you didn't start lifting, and you wouldn't have started lifting if you didn't start doing like general fitness training.
I think I would have found it.
You think?
I don't know. I just like, or like you said early on, I just like watched Hercules, and I was like, being strong is cool as fuck.
Yeah.
And at some point, I would have come across the information that that's something you can improve. Right, but I could see it have gone a different route if I learned about if I had learned about weightlifting, Olympic weightlifting first, whole thing could have gone differently.
I always think about that, like whatever we first started doing probably is what like I would have done. Like if we had just like, if there was a power or a strongman gym somewhere in Tacoma, Seattle, and if we just started doing that first, I probably would be doing strongman now.
Yeah, but it's funny because I didn't get you doing the calisthenics, right? Because that was just something I kind of did on my own, and it wasn't until I discovered like gym strength training that like dragging you along was a thing.
Well, I was doing my own.
You were also you were really young. You were 6 when I first started. You were 6. I don't think you were quite there yet.
No, I was doing 60.
You're doing your hill sprints.
Yeah, I was doing 700-800 setups a day.
The critical Max lore of just sprinting up the street, having a asthma attack, sprinting up the street again, listening to Skillet,
taking 2 weeks off,
taking about 2 months off between sprint sessions.
Do another sprint session.
What a young legend! Like imagine the neighbors watching you.
I think they all just thought I was getting jumped every time.
Yeah, given where Mom's house was, it was more likely you were running from something.
You see like a fat kid running up the street with a bloody nose. Like,
just some like little fat white kid sprinting down the road.
You don't see him for a month.
Oh no!
Next month again.
Your noise for that is really accurate.
Yeah, well, I was there. Yeah.
All right, what would you say, right? Other than like me and Pete Rubish.
Well, I was gonna say like early, right? Before I even started lifting weights, right?
Yep.
I think picking the largest Pokemon starter, like being like Torterra is the coolest one.
The big one is the good one.
Yeah, the big one is the good one.
Strong rationale.
I just like, it's so funny because like I think I have like grown a much more healthy sense, but I've always been like weirdly competitive, especially with like strength stuff. Even when before I was strong at all, I remember like if we were doing like the sit-up test for like PE or whatever, I remember I was like convinced that I was cracked because we had like the sit-ups in a minute, and I'm like 160 pounds and 5'1" with a beer gut, and I go like, I go to like 140, right? Like the most inflated stats, and they were like, I'm not gonna correct this 7-year-old. And then he's not doing
dude,
170
Those
sit-ups.
were like my times to shine because I was boxing and doing a lot of calisthenics at that point, and I remember being so excited for those like standardized testing days because my middle school was like relatively large, and I think I would always have like the biggest push-up number and the biggest sit-up number, and like I was 90 some odd pounds. And nearly 5'10", so very, very skinny. But I remember being like, God, I am Hercules. Holy fuck! I had like a little redo of this moment way, way later in college. We were doing in my physiology lab. We were just like learning basic data analysis. I was dating Kirsten by this time, so I came home on cloud 9 that day.
Yep.
We were like, all right, we need a data set to teach you guys like how to do like data sets and how to use this data. So we're going to collect a bunch of like different physical tests from all of the different classes, and that's going to be our data set. And then we're going to teach. I was like, so it wasn't even really about doing the tests, but it was like hand dynamometer, max vert, VO2 max, and this was like I was. No one else was like a very serious athlete.
Yeah, the only guy who trained. Like.
Well, there were a lot of there were a lot of athletes in your class.
Yeah, that's true, but I was on PEDs.
That is very funny to be juiced to the gills. I got so much of like a D3 selected at a tiny liberal arts school.
And
just
I
like,
put up like, it was like you know the thing in fucking One Punch Man where he does like the physical testing. And
punches through the machine.
That was literally like well, and then the first thing we like here's the data set. And then they were like, all right, first thing you do is if any of them are super outliers, you throw them away. And they threw out all of my numbers.
That's awesome. That's so cool. One of my like earliest memories was in like the start of middle school. They did like a little science presentation, right? And fun fact, this was also the day I met like my best friend. And it's really funny. He was like, dude, I thought you were like the worst person I've ever seen. Because at like 6th grade, they were like, teaching us about like surface tension. So they had like a thing and like trying to pull it off. It was like basically got progressively harder because you're like basically pulling a vacuum, right?
Yep.
And I remember I was like, get the fuck out of the way.
Strong guys here.
And it was like, ah! Just like, I remember I took like probably 20 attempts at it, trying to be like, come on. So like my desire to be stronger than others has been deep rooted.
For sure, same.
And then luckily I found actual training and it wasn't just like a weird schizo about that.
Like me.
The Kirsten having flexing photos pre-lifting.
Yeah.
Kirsten has a bunch of lesbian thirst trap photos.
That's what I was gonna say. Is you guys were like talking about who you look up to, and I was like, who did
Herself.
Who did I
Herself.
Who did I look up to?
There's a lot of flexing pictures for someone who didn't go to the gym.
I looked up to just like the viral lesbians on Tumblr who were taking flexing photos. So I was like, I need to do that as well.
Kirsten has a massive collection of when she had like really short hair in high school, a bunch of photos of her flexing and like full on mewing.
I will say it's a real shame that Kirsten didn't find Musically, because you know she would have a bunch of lesbian thirst traps just like grind on meat challenge. Kirsten doing jazzercise.
Kirsten's literally just doing the. Bro, why do you have all of these photos?
So it's like the snapback era.
Oh,
They're
my
all wearing snapbacks. Oh, it's so bad.
God, you being like a fuckboy, but that was my origin. Yeah. That's when I knew I wanted to
My
be
first
strong.
inspiration was me.
That's I think part of why my confidence was so high is because I was like the only there were like 5 gay people probably in the whole town, and I was like, I'm pretty cool actually.
And you were the number one.
Out of the 5 of us, I'm pretty cool.
I was the coolest gay dude in my town, so that definitely boosted my confidence a lot.
Real Colton Engelbrecht type moment. I look up to no one.
Oh, I thought you were saying the coolest gay dude.
Well, I mean, maybe.
No, Rob Cooney's way cooler.
Fair take.
Yeah, early strength lore. I also just like picking the strength build in like every single video game.
Yeah.
I think like the desire to be strong is innately rooted.
Dude, to this day, I have a I like hurts me to pick any build other than like two-handed weapon warrior. Where it's like this game would
It's disrespectful to my legend.
There's certain games that are like more fun if you play like a stealth build or a magic build, and it like I'm like I can't pick it.
That's yeah.
I don't have it in me.
You know what's very, very funny? I like have tried to like convince myself out of this, but I have this like horrible instinct sometimes of my like opinion of a person will sometimes be like first formed by their lifting technique. Like if they do like if they have really bad technique, I'm like that says something about you.
You know
which
what's
is like
funny?
really funny, like dude bro horoscope of being like I think you've got evil squat technique.
You know
you
what's so
got that Gemini.
Easy on the Geminis there, buddy.
Sounds
It's
like
so
the evil
funny
one.
that like all of the fucking signs or whatever are like, you know, they're whatever the thing where it's like it's a non-statement. You say a bunch of vague things so that everyone relate. You know, you're really quiet at first, and then you're crazy when people get. It's like something that everybody's gonna relate to on some level.
Like you like being
Where they're
around
like,
people, but sometimes don't.
Yeah, you're a Leo. You're outgoing unless you're sometimes not. And it's like, okay, cool. And it's like all of them have their own little thing, and there's just like Gemini, you're evil.
So you're like a bad one.
You're a
personalities.
You're a piece of shit. The thing with the bad technique guys, though, is some of the smartest people in lifting are really weirdly some of the guys with the worst. It's like such a weird archetype of like very intelligent person that doesn't have any technique whatsoever. And I think it's because they're a smart guy that views the gym as a chance to turn off their brain almost. And like spiritually, that's what the gym is to them.
There's a weird amount of MIT graduates that we know that are just like I think it's just like I don't want to have to think about like leverages or like getting like mechanically efficiency. My goal is to come here is to not do that. Like,
Yeah, well,
I'm doing that on my engineering job. I want to come just like fucking oonga boonga some weights. Like,
Yeah, you've got like, you know, you got Stan efforting, like being like, yeah, all my, like I like was tallying my micronutrients and I was scrolling through microfiche to learn about exercise physiology data. And it's like, and you didn't learn to,
part
you
of
didn't
that
learn
is
to
the fact that he
brace.
was under Mark Bell. That is not a good person to learn
But
the deadlift
sure,
from.
but he was powerlifting before he even met Mark. He did his first powerlifting contest in the 90s.
Yeah, but they
Right?
didn't,
And
know,
it's
they didn't know
like-
how to deadlift back then.
And he went to like a Misha seminar. He could have, right? But it's like clearly just like he started like 2 multi-million-dollar companies.
Yeah.
So clearly a very smart man that just does not believe technique is the avenue to get better. It's just full physicality maxing. You got like Ginger Achilles. The dude's like a MIT graduated engineer, and then also just like, yeah, fuck deadlift farm.
Yeah, well, just the idea of like, I don't know why I would do that. Like, it's just like,
I don't need to. I've got a
960
fucking
raw.
960 raw deadlift. Fuck me. I guess it really doesn't matter.
we were talking a little last night though about like it's so weird that like certain dudes will have this like natural aptitude to like either a single lift or like will be like really like freaky athleticism, right? But then we'll just like move really bad in one specific way.
Yeah.
And it's so strange to be like you intuitively clearly understand one or two of these lifts and then can't do the other one.
Yeah.
Like you just like you can visually see that like you don't know how to apply force in like a good way.
Yeah, it's you know, me and Kirsten were talking about this the other week with like the essence of training certain muscles, where it's like to me hamstrings are all about the negatives, right? Do I have any physiology to back this up? No, but like you know, we can move powerfully through the concentric, and we're just trying to get more controlled negatives we do in RDL, right? Kind of same approach with a hamstring curl. I've always said like chest, I really feel like is loading into a stretch that you feel in the muscle belly, not in the front delt. Pause, drive out. If you do that for reps, your pec will develop and develop and develop. So there's kind of like the ethos of what is training a muscle, and then there's the ethos of like what is a deadlift. If you can't get that a deadlift is more of a hinge than it is a squat, then you're always going to really struggle to develop it, right? Like there's core things. And it's so funny because you'll have guys who are great athletes, like Nam Thomas / Nam Scharzer. I'm not really sure what his last name is. D1 athlete in 2 sports,
Yep.
right? D1 wrestler and football player, freak athlete, pro bodybuilder. I believe he got his pro card. If not, like a top nationally ranked amateur guy.
Yep.
At one point, the number 1 275 power lifter in the nation just did not conceptually understand deadlifts, right? And you could see it, like, you know, great squat, great bench press, and it just like would do these beautiful, really exaggerated hip hinges as an accessory. But then it just came time to do a sumo deadlift, and it's like, man, you're a motor genius. Why can't you just go watch like Yuri Belkin and imitate the cadence of the pull? If you feel like you have to hit the weight off the floor, you have to yank the weight off the floor. None of the best sumo guys have this like yank, panic, throw into position because they're scared of the start position. Like we saw like Eric Lillybridge trying to like learn to do sumos. It's like yank. It's like, dude, go. Like I know you think sumo is cheating, and that's why you're trying to learn it.
It's so funny.
'Cause
To
you're
see this guy's like, I'm time to prove it. I'm not strong like these open-legged cowards.
Exactly.
So I'll learn it. And I'll be the guy who's like the first strong person to
Yeah.
do this cheater technique, and then just like completely fumble the ability to execute. And they're like, maybe it is just as hard. So weird. It's like, no, you just didn't work
You
on top of
didn't learn it.
You just have no idea how to build tension.
Yeah, it's
Dog
funny.
shit.
What's funny because people like the is sumo harder debate is just like the dumbest shit. Where it's like people are like, well, it's actually harder because the technique is harder. It's like, well, what are we talking about? The ceiling is higher, but it is like this the technical minimum is it's more technical. So yes, if we're saying which one has the higher ceiling, sumo is physically easier, right? We can see the records going that way.
Yep.
But also it takes more to learn, right? It's like the spin and shot put, right? If you just refuse to learn good form, just glide. Right? Like, yes, the spin has a higher ceiling, but if you're not going to learn to spin well, just glide. But if you're really serious about this, probably learn the one with like the higher ceiling. But you could see Eric just being like, well, man, those sumo guys aren't very strong compared to me. Imagine if I, a strong guy, learned to do sumo, I'd probably do like 1,300.
It's also like a very funny one of like thinking like, oh, it's easier because less ROM.
Yep.
And like that is the extent of it, right? And like I don't need to learn like the mechanical efficiency of it. And it's so weird that like a lot of guys like aren't willing to like, I'm gonna emulate this person's form. And I feel like it was like something I learned through shot put was like just copying, like trying to get the visual down first is a better thing, and you'll learn the feelings rather than just being like, I'll just learn this through like. It's a very like a lot of like the most like kinesthetically aware people we know don't even have the best form because they're exclusively going off like feels good, do more, feels good, do more of like this cue is helping me, so I'll do more of that. So like there's some people who are like you're like kinesthetically a genius and your form doesn't look that good because like you've run yourself down this like hole of like always just being like I'm able to get more out of weight out of this right now by doing this, and you're never willing to be like what is hypothetically the model that I need to be chasing.
Well, yeah, it's like you've used your kinesthetic awareness to take your model that felt good initially as far as it could be taken, but there wasn't that early thought of like maybe I could use my kinesthetic geniusness to lock into a different model.
Just copying a Beals pull.
Yeah, it's like you see that's like a big emphasis for Thomas Lilly, Colton Engelbrecht's coach, was like, no, we're gonna make sure you select. We're not just gonna lean into your own weird things. Like he's like, there's two things you can do. You can fit the program to the athlete, or you can try to mold the athlete to the program. And people are pretty adaptable given time and good progressions. We're going to try to adapt you to what we think has higher ceilings instead of leaning into the things where you show initial promise, right? Like, obviously, I think John Hack, there's an argument he's still the best in the world, right? So I have no interest in claiming John Hack has done anything wrong. But I believe someone like Colton Engelbrecht, his coach Thomas Lilly would have had John early on switch to a low bar, even though he was like, well, high bar seems to be working better, due to the ceiling idea.
Kirsten, you've been coaching a lot more people, right?
Yeah.
I feel like you cover like a larger array of like levels, I guess, because like Sam has kind of been like not specialized, but like you work with people who are like good at powerlifting already for the most part. Would you say that's true?
I do work with some guys that aren't super high level strength. That's become like a bit of a misunderstanding because I do have so many good athletes.
Yeah, is it exclusively
like,
only
guys
work
will
with?
Message me every now and then. They'll be like, yeah, I know, like I'm not very good, but like, would you? I'm like, I don't have like a rule. Where it's like, if you don't total 1,500,
But just in general, the people
don't
who
even
find you
talk to me.
Tend to be people who are very familiar with strength sports.
Yeah, and a lot of the
if not
time-
already high level. Like,
And I'm not taking athletes a lot of the time, right?
Yeah.
Like, but that is funny because people are like, I'm sorry to waste your time with my 1,000 pound. I'm like, I don't care. Like, I like people that are serious about training.
yeah, a lot more than you care.
Yeah,
'Cause
if
you got a
you're
couple of
not
people that are
seri-
high level that you're like, I don't want to work with you at all.
I've had people I turned down who were very, very strong because I really didn't think it would be very enjoyable to work with them.
Yeah.
Because despite being strong, they didn't take their training very seriously. I would much rather work with the guy that's like, dude, I love this shit. Hell yeah, I would rather be stoked on your 275 bench PR than this guy like being like, oh, I finally stopped binge drinking and actually put together 2 weeks of training. Look at this 500. Like, I don't give a fuck, man.
Does that just make me mad? I think.
I know, frustrating. I'm like, dude. I'm like, if you took this seriously, what the fuck? You'd like blow me out of the water. Fuck you.
But Kirsten, you obviously work with like true people who are coming in lifting weights for the first time,
Yeah.
right? Do you feel like there's a really noticeable difference in like how intuitive the lifts are for some people?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's super interesting. Of like, it's always shocking when someone comes in who's never lifted before who can hinge. I know that's like a personal trainer meme on Instagram that like, 90% of our time is spent teaching someone how to hinge. I have a good hinge progression. It takes me probably like a session or two to get someone to hinge. I'm pretty proud of that. But anyway.
There's some people who just never like that.
Never
That's
learn.
always a funny one. Whenever Sam and I are talking about like someone who's been powerlifting for 5 years and they're pretty good, but it's just like, God damn it, if you had learned how to do an RDL or a high bar squat 5 years ago, you right now would be like, you'd have 300 pounds more on your total.
Yeah.
Like just the fact that you never learned how to do that has inherently limited your ability to get stronger.
Yeah, no.
Do you notice it's like lift specific or like is it like just be like people just have like different levels of athleticism coming in, or it'll be like this person just understands a squat and then nothing else, or like how much of it is like person to person versus like lift to lift?
It varies a lot. Some people it's person to person, sometimes it's lift to lift. I think the most interesting case is when someone has done sports, has what seems like good kinesthetic awareness, but they can't, like the big three aren't intuitive. Like changing form to adjust to like a deadlift form or a squat form doesn't make sense to them.
Oh, interesting.
It's really bizarre because they are like, oh, I feel this. Like when I do this exercise, I'm feeling this. I'm biasing it towards this muscle. I'm like, oh, great, awesome. And then I like cue them to do something on their deadlift, and they're like, I don't know what that means. That doesn't make any sense.
You're like a pretty good technique coach. Do you feel like how naturally it comes to someone? Like how much of a difference is in there in like their ability to progress? Like if someone like just like super naturally like a lift comes to them super easily.
I don't know. I think most people you can get to a pretty good form standard if they have someone to tell them in person. Does that make sense? Because I think part of why Sam doesn't like taking on true beginners is because it's hard online and Sam doesn't do much. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting because if you have someone who's a true beginner in person and you can get them to a reasonably good form level, then you can kind of just set them free. And then how fast they get good at something with the form you've given them is just based on how hard they work most of the time.
Yeah, I do feel like it's like uniquely hard to like gain good form if you're truly like solo. Like if it's someone that's like had never had a training partner or a coach, and that like they just clearly have built good form on their own. I was like, that's such a good sign, is the fact that you like were willing to spend the time to like clearly like regress your lifts at points and like actually learn how to lift by yourself independently.
I think part of it is it depends if you've taught yourself a skill before.
Oh,
like if you taught yourself to do a kickflip when you were in middle school,
yeah,
it's not that like you go watch how people do it, try, then you can probably get yourself a nice looking SBD, right? It's not like Olympic weightlifting where it's like you're probably not going to be able to contend with your counterpart who had coaching. You can self-coach powerlifting really, really well, right? Especially if you have if you already knew that skill of how to teach yourself how to do a movement. I think that goes a long ass way. And I always look, every time I see like a lifter who has form that's like more advanced than they are strong, I'm like, if you're willing to put in effort, this is going to be so smooth. Like every time I see a guy, it's like my max deadlift is 300 pounds and it looks great. I'm like, I get to look so smart. Let's go. If you are willing to push at all hard in your training, whether that be your main lifts or your accessories, and you are willing to put any work into eating anything like you should as an athlete, like you get to look like a genius, right? Because you're just like, hey man, just push a little harder. And they're like, so my deadlift went up 30 pounds. You're a genius. I was like, I'm not a genius at all. You did the hard part. I just need to remind you, you need to push a little harder and eat a little bit more to recover from the fact that you're doing a little bit more damage by pushing.
It is so funny, the idea, like, we'll talk about, like, like, movement just comes easier to some people or whatever. But, like, the idea that, like, how you think about improving movement really dictates how easy it will be to improve. But, like, some people will just, like, the way they think about getting their form better is just like, oh, it just happens. Just, like, your body just gets more efficient as you do it or whatever. Or, like, I do what feels good, like, on the day.
That's such a popular idea, too. You're not like as clued into like dumb online discussions as I am, but like that's really popular in like the movement optimist, just educate people about pain science type PT crowd. There's no such thing as good form, which is crazy because mechanical efficiency exists.
It's very funny, the idea of like if you went to a weightlifting gym anywhere in the universe
Any
and were like,
sport.
I'm just going to intuit my way through good form, they'd like beat you with a cane.
Be like, hey Max, I don't know if you know, there's no such thing as good sprinting form. Like any good sprinting coach is gonna be like, what the fuck?
I'm just going to do a maximal snatch and my body will learn how to position itself correctly.
Trust me, I tried doing shot put with the idea that there's no such thing as good technique. And guess what? My little brother threw that thing 15 feet further than I did.
So annoying. Sam still holds our school record because all of our competitions got canceled to COVID. So it's still Sam Sheether on a school record for I had multiple meets, but they didn't count them over
Max
60.
was throwing 60. I was throwing 46, but our season got canceled.
It is so annoying that whenever I was pretty good at shot put, and if you look at any of my stats, it just says like I was a horrible shot putter.
Well, at least you had
I swear to God, I threw 66.
At least you had like the 60.
Yeah, I think I'm like a 61 in athletic on that or whatever.
I wish you put up the 66 because I would love to just be like,
that's so different.
That was the level Max reached, and I wish you had like, you didn't do a contest on the college shot, did you?
I did, but I didn't do great.
I wish at your best I just wish I had that to point to.
Dude, truthfully, this was like an exceptional session, so like realistically not fair. Of
course.
Like, I would have to throw for much longer to expect to actually like get that result in competition. But I was throwing like 57 on the college shot like, in high school. Like I was very, very good at shot put, and I'm always a little bit mad that like I should have done like one season or
Just
something
a little bit.
to like
Get
like,
some marks on there and just be like, that way you could point to like, I was good at this. I'll try to remember who it was. There was like one historic strength guy who had like a really good mark, and then there's one current guy who I was like, oh shit, because like you're my barometer,
He
right?
has like a 65 on the
Where I'm
college
like,
shot, and I'm like, oh.
yeah, exactly, like 65 on the college shot. Fuck, you're actually,
Oh shit!
you're like good.
You have a 20 meter on the 16. I'm like, oh jeez. Sam, I got a question for you.
Let's go.
You've been doing a lot of that weird athleticism stuff. You like training.
I've
that
been
as
doing a
quality,
little
right?
bit, yeah.
That's more so my question, right? We had some people asking about like how would I try and like squeak that, like if I'm still like trying to be a strength athlete, but I'm trying to like make myself into the athlete that's not just like can only do bench press or whatever. Like, what are easy areas to like pick up a little bit of extra athleticism training, or like how do you like if I want to like get my vert up without not just like full quitting squats or whatever?
Yes, I mean like the low hanging fruit, right? Is if you could do something. At first your training will take a small hit, but as you acclimate, it won't be a big deal. If you can play like a pickup basketball game on one of your rest days each week, just your bodily awareness.
That's probably productive for lifting as well.
Right? Like Alec is big on that. Just like, dude, like just go do something else. Like be an athlete. Like he was having Lucas rock climb as one of the ways to bring up his grip.
That's fucking crazy.
Fucking nasty,
dude,
right?
Lucas posted a video of that. That's insane.
Yeah. For a
I
guy.
tried and like, dude, it is insane on the forearms.
Lucas has big hands, but not like giant hands. Really, like for how thick his hands are, really good grip, right? Which that's the shame with like grip events. Is it's just like who's got the big old hands? Like that's not my favorite thing to see contested. But like include varied athletic tasks. Don't avoid doing things because you're an athlete when you're outside of preps, right? Just using plyometrics as a way to warm up. Right, just hit like 5 max effort doubles on a box jump before you squat, just each week. That will get you some of those elastic adaptations in like your tendons that will go along, like, and that way, when you go to play the pickup basketball game, your tendons already have like that. Kind of just keeps you in the state of readiness. Doing like do tempo sprints until you're confident enough to hit max effort sprints. But if you can just hit max speed 2 to 3 times a week, again, that goes like it's not that taxing. It can be worked around lifting, and it just keeps you in a general state of readiness. That way, if there's a, the neighborhood kickball game, you don't have to worry about pulling a hamstring. As long as you warm up well, you've touched top speed twice a week. Just like jump, bilateral jump, unilateral jump, touch top speed on a sprint or a tempo sprint if you're not ready yet. Once a week as a warm-up or on a separate session, kind of keeps you in this state of readiness if you want to do a different athletic task. And then also I think change of direction drills, just like goofy little, it doesn't matter what.
Just do a shitty cone drill.
Just goofy little cone drills.
Yeah.
Just that is like that. Those are different forces. Those are skills that you could just kind of work into your training week. That's very low cost, very low time that kind of keep you ready to do like athletic performance. Me and Kirsten were kind of working on like distilled version she was helping some off-season athletes. And I was like, what are some of these distilled qualities that we just want to make sure we touch on?
It's very funny. I'm 350, right? I'm also probably just shy of as athletic as I've ever been, which is very funny, right?
Yeah.
It is very funny. The two like activities that I've noticed that I am much worse at, right, are rock climbing. Not shocking. I was much better at that when I was 260.
Yep.
And ice skating. Cannot do that anymore. Those have been two like weird things. Like I just can't do this anymore. Like I knew how to, and I can't anymore.
That was something that was interesting when I went back to skating after not doing it for a while lifting, is I lost a lot of ability to rotate.
Oh.
So I think I might add that in of like if you want to be athletic, maybe make sure you're training your obliques and doing some rotational tasks.
It's a really good one. I totally forgot to mention that, but that is, me and Kirsten talked about that because like anti-rotation is a positive adaptation for lifting weights.
Yeah.
Like you want to be really good at, you don't ever want to be helicoptering.
But any athletic person needs to be able to rotate and rotate explosively.
So it's like, it's a positive adaptation as a power lifter to be like, I can't rotate at all, bro.
Yeah.
And it's like, but then when you do in real life, you have to like jam it and you hurt. Like, it's like every strength athlete's like, yeah, I went to the driving range and my back is fucked.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you haven't done any rotation at all in years, and then you did explosive like max speed rotation. So like Me and Kirsten love Russian twists are okay. We really like those like little med ball twisty throws. Just a couple as a plyo. Again, just throw it at the beginning of an upper day. A couple of those, and it just checks that box of that you don't use it, you lose it, and it preserves rotational ability. We have a twisty machine that we also use to preserve rotational ability, but most gyms don't have a really nice twisty machine.
Kirsten, let's say you had a client come to you and they're like, I want to do strength training, but I want to be athletic.
Yeah.
What do you like? Are you doing a full athleticism session? How you doing that?
So I have a couple of off-season athletes that I work with right now in person, and what we do is it's pretty simple and straightforward. We do plyos at the beginning and then a push-pull squat hinge, unless there's something that's a lot of the time, or a lot of athletes actually that I've worked with have had back issues, which is just getting the core stronger. And obviously these aren't D1 athletes, because obviously they probably have a strong core, but just kind
a lot of them don't.
Fair. Okay, maybe not. Then so kind of just working on things you sprinkle in what is at what's weakest, and then keep in those fundamental movement patterns with I like to mix up the plyos just so it's different every day. Maybe we'll have one day we run, one day we do bounding or kind of distance plyos, and then one day we do vertical, how high we jump. So just kind of mixing stuff up. But that's how I generally approach that.
Interesting. It's very funny with college type sports. I feel they're historically S&C in high school has been so bad that D1, D2, and D3 is just a natural athleticism thing, and you can get to one of those levels if you are just a smart high schooler who started training better than everyone else.
Yeah.
Where a lot of the D1 guys, I'm just yeah, you just free, because you were doing the same program as literally everyone else. You were probably worked a little harder in the weight room, maybe worked a little bit harder in practice, and had a better understanding of the actual sport you were doing. But it's just the difference between D1 and D2 is oftentimes just what came easier to each person, because you guys were all doing the same bad system in high school.
But I think that's getting less viable now.
I think that is, yeah.
Because parents are now sending their kids to independent S&C coaches, independent sport-specific coaches, because they see the value in getting them going D1 and getting a scholarship.
Yeah.
Because I think it used to be that that was only a fair few. It was a rare couple of people that were doing these private training facilities and going to these good coaches. So the ability of an okay athlete to independently research, train on their own, and be good, the number of guys that weren't free world beaters, they were just the guys who kind of did their homework and managed to get themselves to that level. In the past was pretty good, but now you've got people who are sending off to these camps for big portions of the year. People are really gaming the whole taking a year, so then you're the highest age you can be by senior year. Daniel Cormier was talking about it with Demetrius Johnson about how if you want your kid to go D1, you need to I think it's you repeat 8th grade or something, so that way you're the oldest you could possibly be when you're a senior in high school, so you have a physical advantage. And because there's this is such a known thing, people move districts to get to certain schools that are better, and their kid's 19, it's getting harder and harder because people see this as a route to success.
It's very funny because specifically in shot put, I remember it was I don't know, before I started years ago, right? 2008, the glide was still winning the Olympics, but the spin was very much so becoming the thing. It was every single high schooler was gliding, and that was just how naturally explosive are you? And it was the role of a college coach to teach every kid how to spin. And now it's you should know how to spin if you're going to have any plans of going D1. You yourself need to figure that out. It's not just a who can be really strong and really explosive and then be tapered into a good technique.
Yep.
You need to already have good technique. And a lot of the times it's guys with really good technique with really low physicality who are then peaked into it's easier for us to train you and to get really strong and fast than it is for us to teach you how to throw a really good spin.
It's interesting how some of those guys, right, they already knew they were well on pace to be going D1, so they were already training for the college shot early.
Yeah.
But some of those guys are the guys who have the hardest transition up in weight because they're they're really fast, and they're really technical, and they're not that strong. And the switch to the college shot absolutely it's a tough transition. Whereas if you had the Mongo glide guy, who's I'm doing 3 rep power cleans at 405, it used to be you send the Mongo strong guy and he learns to spin in college, right?
Yeah.
And it's that guy he lost a foot. He doesn't even know they weigh different, right?
Yeah.
But some of these guys getting their numbers nuked by the bump in weight is interesting, right? Whereas it didn't affect you because because you were already strong as shit the first time you picked up a shot put.
Speaking of like general athletics, right? Me and you try to or I don't know how much, Kirsten, you watch other like sports S&C, but there's other stuff going on. What do you guys think that like strength athletes or like powerlifters or strongman, like what is the biggest like frontier area that you think they're lacking compared to like other like a more professional sport? Because obviously this is still very much so like a hobby level to most people who are participating. So like not even most guys are not like full-time powerlifters. Like what do you think the biggest area there is for like develop as like both sports grow?
I think you guys talk about this a lot, but nutrition is a big one. Because powerlifting is like they're
all
eat
like
a lot.
fat pieces of shit. Yeah.
Or like
God, it makes me so bad that I'm not getting as much out of my awesome diet as I should be, and everyone just thinks I'm lying.
Or like it being trendy to have like candy in your bag. That's very fun. I'm whimsical. I don't have any problem with that. But like I feel like that kind of speaks to the culture of powerlifting.
Yeah, they do. Like you put the bag of Sour Patch Kids on the GHD. Like
right. Whereas like a runner would probably have like their little gel, which like effectively is that pretty similar? Probably, but also
it's almost like the ethos or the thought process behind it of like I'm a fat piece of shit powerlifter. And it's like, yeah, you're going to be. Now that I think about it, I think the fact that my quality of life at 350 is as high as it is definitely just because of my diet and the fact that I do any cardio.
Yeah, the cardio, the stretching. Like if
Cardio's a good one.
you had let your mobility decay, right? That's it. The cardio is an interesting one. You guys will think this is interesting. I'm sure, I don't know, you guys follow the Sika guys on Instagram?
Yeah.
They've been on this crusade of like, do more cardio, you motherfuckers. And I think the genesis of that is they've got their RTA squat program. Their RTA squat program is very similar to how we approach things. Like Max, you would read it and be like, this is some good shit.
Yep.
Right? Very, very traditional in its approach. And it starts with like a bunch of sets of 10, like really, really building a wide volume base on the squat. And they were getting feedback from some people that were like, I can't recover from this shit. This shit's killing me. Like I overtrained and I'm fucked up now. You guys need to alter the program. Right. And they're like, no, we're not going to alter the fucking program. You need to again, it depends. You got the philosophy of fitting the program to the athlete or fit the athlete to the program. This is what you have to do to reliably get better over and over and over. So you better get in good enough shape that this isn't overtraining.
Yeah, you talk about like the guys.
Be an athlete, get your cardio up. Your work capacity is garbage, and that wouldn't fly in any other sport. And if we want to have sport level results from strength sports, we should treat them like sports. Be an athlete.
Yeah, you talk about like there's guys who like their either recovery variables or work capacity is so low where it's like you're razor thin on doing just your minimum effective volume is somehow also your maximum recoverable volume. Like you're in like bad enough shape and you're not like recovering and you're sleeping well enough that those two things are almost the exact same thing.
Well, I've seen guys go past it where like in your current state it's impossible to progress.
Your MRV is lower than your minimum effective dose.
Yeah, like the amount of work they would need to do to get better is more than they can recover from. And people are like, oh, you're screwed, right? But no, you need to take a period of time to get in better shape because not only getting in better shape doesn't just make the amount of work you can do and recover from go up, it also makes the amount of work you benefit from go up as well, right? So it's like you need to gain access to the amount of work that you need to get better. And I see people get caught in this impossible scenario where they're just like, well, I try to do more. They try to leverage up their work capacity by doing more lifting and just repeatedly get like tendonitis, overuse injuries, pickup injury, like get banged up, and it doesn't work. And it's like you need to use a little bit more of a gentle modality, i.e. zone 2 cardio at first, and then maybe we could even do some high threshold cardio. Like interval work is kind of the gold standard. You and I just do like tough 5 to 6 minute wind bikes where it's a flat pace, but a much higher, like it's not a sustainable pace. We couldn't do that for 20,
yeah.
Right? You and I just do the flat pace wind bikes. So that way we're touching low end spectrum cardio, higher end spectrum cardio, right? And like you can get into like, you get into like energy systems, right? If you want to get really general, right, you've got your very short stuff, which is already covered by lifting, jumping, and sprinting. You've got your kind of mid-range stuff, which is the stuff that you can do for a little bit, but not any longer. And then you've got your things you could do for like an hour and then accumulating time. We do check all three of those boxes. There's a little bit more nuance and a couple more layers there, but really generally, if you want like a robust capacity, check all three boxes.
It's very funny because sometimes I'm like, damn, I'm getting beaten by all these guys who aren't eating a good diet and aren't doing mobility and have worse cardio than me. And then I keep like the thing that I think I've like realized is that like it doesn't make you stronger. It makes your life better and allows you to do powerlifting for longer.
Well,
Like,
it increases your career peak, right?
Well,
Because
like-
you're also a lot less physically banged up.
like I just like in general, like going through my life, I'm like I feel better than like almost anyone I meet at 350 pounds, which is an extreme oddity for sure.
Yeah.
Part of that is I was born with an enormous frame, which is
Yep.
fucking awesome.
Very cool.
Thank you to our tiny parents.
You'll think this is. I was thinking about this the other day. Someone requested that we do a rematch arm wrestling. I was like, that's not going to happen. We both got tendonitis for a week last time.
Yep.
And plus, I don't want an arm snap. And I was like, I wonder whose arm would snap,
Yep.
right? Because neither of us know the technique to avoid it.
Yep.
So equal risk there.
Yep.
I was like, "Ugh, I'm the durability guy. Max's arm will snap. Your bone is probably like a full inch bigger around. My arm would definitely be the one to snap, I think.
Yeah. I was assuming it would be like my rotator cuff because I think you would win, and this position is really bad to
think
be
you're-
like suddenly forced into it.
Do you think it'd win? I'm not as sure anymore. You think so?
Yes.
That's fair.
I just think you're like just here to here is just meaningfully stronger still than mine.
I think our biceps are the exact same, and that's weak as piss. I don't think there's any difference. I think they're just pathetically weak.
Yeah, I don't know. I think even pathetically weak, yours is still strong. Like your bicep is stronger than mine. You have done any bicep training? I have
That's
literally never done any
Right
bicep
now,
training.
maybe I've been picking up a lot of sandbags, but I think pre this meet prep, you have a little bit too much faith in my biceps.
Yeah,
They're nothing.
If we were doing like a leg wrestling contest, I think I would give you a real hard run for your money. Arm
Isn't
wrestling,
that all hamstring? I'd actually cripple you.
our pulls are pretty similar.
I already yell 100 pounds more than you.
Clearly with weird.
You're just using your legs like a
cringe
soy jack.
technique.
You're using your legs like
I
a
would
soy
bend
jack.
my legs so I could use my fucking hips and my fucking quads and I'd kill you. But yeah, we're like I looked at like, oh, damn, this junior guy, what the fuck? He's doing a
Yeah.
way worse job of all of his extra stuff, and then he quits because he feels like shit all the time. And Adam at the gym, shout out Adam, was
out
like,
Adam.
Max, do you think I should do like some cardio? Like I think Sam's gonna have me start doing cardio. And he's like, yeah, I'm dead at the start of this block. And I was like, that's one of the benefits is that like it just gets a little bit easier, and it does just make your life a little bit easier.
Way better,
Just
yeah.
like everything is like that's also like the thing of like the people who are like, powerlifting is so unhealthy for me. And it's like, yeah, because your diet sucks, your cardio is shit, and you have no mobility.
Yeah,
like,
do
I bet your
unhealthy-
life does suck, and the idea that like the fact that
Unhealthy habits is bad for you.
You've
Hot
been
take.
skipping for that for 10 years. I bet you feel like shit. Like I bet you feel horrible, man.
Well, that's the other thing with cardio too. Is if you don't give up, it gets easier really fast. Like especially if you do
I don't
the
feel
same.
that at all.
Really?
I've done like I have like a minimum.
Well, you do way more and harder cardio than I do.
He weighs 350 pounds.
That's a good point too, as well. But I'm saying
Even
yeah,
at 260, dude.
Really?
I don't know. I just I think it's like there's like different kinds of mental toughness that you build resilience to, and then I have like really high like lifting weights like mental resilience, like doing a really hard set at 18 is like pretty chill. It's like I would say I actively enjoy it. I think just the fact that I did literally zero cardio for the entire first half of my life and have never done like an actual endurance sport of any kind, including like soccer. Like soccer was a pretty like Pee-wee soccer should not be a hard endurance thing, and I would just give up.
Yeah.
So the fact that I never built up any resilience to that, I think has just made it so like doing cardio is literally always an active choice. Like I've got to fucking keep going.
It's also honestly, I'm
I've
not
gotta
gonna
fucking keep
lie.
going.
As much as I love bigging up lifting weights, it just takes more. It's not just that it's different toughnesses; it's just flat out harder. Everybody I know that did like cross country to like a decently high level, or did like rowing to a decently high level, then instantly has no problem doing those same tough sets of 18. Like there's a one direction carryover, like Henry, right? Like did some distance running. Henry has no problem doing like a gun to head 15 on leg press, as much as we're like, yeah, that is, most people can't do that.
Yeah.
But anybody who's like done, like, GVS, same thing. Everybody's like, how the fuck does that guy train? He's like, compared to having to run 4 hours, this is way
like a
easier.
hypothetical 3 seconds of
Gritting out discomfort for a minute? Are
Yeah.
you kidding?
Yeah, I guess that's very true. But like most beginners, like if you just like tried like put them in as much discomfort as they're going to be for a set of, I don't know, 10 on like a hard leg press, right? They're just like not gonna be like they're gonna give up.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. They need to learn that. But I just think that like I hear distance runners and like the more than they talk about gait, they talk about like one of the critical skills is like compartmentalizing pain and like envisioning like, all right, that pain is there. I acknowledge it. I'm just gonna put it in my back pocket. Like that's what they're talking about is like pain strategies. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, you guys are fucking tougher than me. God damn it.
Yeah, well, we've talked about like for like long and distance like biking.
Yeah.
It's just like at minimum they're gonna give them everything that we have. Like,
It's an assumption that all top athletes are going to push themselves like through as much pain as possible.
Like it's the equivalent of like, oh yeah, like this elite powerlifter isn't gonna give up on the lift halfway. Why would we even think of it? Like it's not like, oh yeah, like you just need to try. It's like if anyone told like ex elite lifter like you just gotta try harder, it's like you're an idiot. Everyone at that level is trying absolutely hard as they can. In the same way that it's like every endurance runner is trying to give their all. Sometimes their body just gives up on
The
them.
legit, yeah, exactly. The cyclist guys is like you need to time, like you need to measure your lactate thresholds and time your glycogen and like all this stuff because it's like it's an assumption that if you're a top guy, there's no more effort to give. The win is now in the minutia, right? And it's like I think that's kind of the same thing with like lifting. When we're looking at like intermediate guys, you know, there's the group of intermediate guys at the gym. You and I are always like, that guy trains hard. He's going to be the one that actually makes it to advanced, right? It's like you could predict instantly based on just like he could be training like an idiot, and it'd be like, no, that's the guy. But then when you get to like the really really good guy, they're all giving it, with the exception of the occasional motherfucker. They're all giving it like a good go. Now it comes back to being like who did it smarter, like the logistics and the programming and the technique is what's going to determine it, not the effort. But to that point, it's all the effort.
Speaking of endurance sports, we all like a hydration drink. Let's talk about electrolyte sources, right? We're just saying like supplementing electrolytes. I feel like you guys have both tried a lot more shit than I have because I've just tried generic sports drink. Truthfully, just because I like a sweet treat while I'm eating my meal. And if I'm like, this is giving me a little bit of potassium, that's a benefit.
I really like liquid IVs, but they're too expensive.
Is it the powder or do they make
Yep.
a drink now?
Yeah. Oh, do they make a drink now? I don't know. Not in our gas
The
stations, but
powder,
we're behind.
Is the liquid IV like the main, like one of those like powder brands?
I feel like, yeah.
Are they like pricey?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're the expensive one.
How much is it per packet?
Oh, it's
I
like
want to
$2.
say it's like no, it's like a buck 20. I want to say a buck 20.
Per packet?
Yeah.
At the gas station, I think they go up to $2.
Yeah, at the gas station it might be $2 a packet, and it's like just go buy.
Well, like
it for-
hypothetically, if you compare that to a Gatorade, it's like, all right, it's like,
It's the same. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Give me the water. Like I should get a free water with this then.
yeah. You know, it's very funny that Gatorade, like it was just like they've done like such a good job marketing that I just think of that as like that's the athlete's drink, and then you look at it and you're like, this is not great, and then they made Gator Lit,
Which
as
is what
what
Gatorade-
the actual product is. Like, but it's just become like a weird alternative soda.
Yeah, what they told you Gatorade was, where there's actually a reasonable amount of electrolytes in it.
Or like Gatorade Zero, where it's like no sodium, no sugar,
That pisses
no
me
potassium.
off.
So
That
it's
shit
nothing.
pisses me off.
It's literally not a drink. Like,
It's just sugar
It's
alcohol.
not.
The fucking light drinks, that pisses me off more than anything. What am I paying $3 for? Sometimes you go to the store and there's only the light ones. I'm like, this is nothing. This is just gonna hurt my tummy.
I do think that I'll see that and I'm just like, so it's just a drink that tastes worse than a soda. You could just get a calorie-free soda, but instead it's just like this one will make me feel like an
Sports.
athlete. Like this is the sports one. I'm a big body armor guy. I feel like I've been on that one forever.
Do you guys got electrolytes?
Yeah,
Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
I'm asking the viewers if they've got it like where they're at. Because I don't remember those being in Washington, but we got them everywhere here. The electrolyte, those actually have really good, like they've got a reasonable amount of magnesium, good potassium, good sodium. A lot of hydration drinks shy away from sodium, which on base level is kind of silly. It's the most abundant electrolyte generally, and it's what you lose the most in sweat. So it's like, that's kind of important.
Yeah.
And athletes do kind of need to scale up their sodium intake at least moderately to account for sweat. But the average American is not shy on salt, so I don't hate omitting it. I would put the potassium's like slightly more important. It's the same thing with like people have made like kind of what's the fucking prime hydration or whatever.
Where they've leaned away from sodium because they're like just assuming everyone gets enough sodium in their diet, so we're just going to be a potassium.
They
drink,
also
basically.
don't add sugar or carbs. And I've seen people make hit pieces be like, this is actually a shitty hydration drink because carbohydrates alongside water, alongside electrolytes are actually, like all three are important for actually retaining the fluid and not just pissing it out.
Yeah.
Carbs are part of that process of hydration. So that's why most hydration drinks have carbs. That's one of the things. And people are like, yeah, and Prime doesn't have any carbs. It's actually a shitty hydration. You think the average fucker that's drinking a Prime didn't get enough carbs within the last couple hours?
average gamer.
You don't think there's enough carbs in their stomach
gamer pouring
to,
sweat
to retain water?
He's had 4 bags of Doritos already. He's good on sodium.
Shout out to, there was a guy in the comments who said, like, oh, you guys, this was old CrossFit trick. Light salt. So like Morton's light salt or new salt, it's a salt alternative that's a 50-50 blend between sodium and potassium.
I realized that I should, like, whenever if I like wanted to do another like chicken phase, that's exactly what I'd have to do. Because remember when I transitioned from beef to chicken, it like slowly became more and more obvious that I was like really, really low on potassium. So just like having another easy extra source would be probably presumably huge for me to not just get horribly crampy.
Yeah, your potassium, for you, potassium is very important.
I fall apart.
Your body lets you know. Well, that's the thing, though, is your body lets you know real quick if you're not getting enough potassium.
I was waking up like 2 to 3 times a night in like horrible cramps when like my potassium would go low. And I remember I was like, my salt is
fine,
probably too much.
Try.
You know, I sweat a lot, so it's probably evening out. But it cannot be my salt. Like I'd be like, what the fuck? And I remember being like, I would go back to beef weeks and I'd be like, I'm not cramping anymore. And I was like, holy shit, it's just potassium. And like, I guess it makes sense, but like 2 bananas a day is so far from the amount of potassium you need to be consuming as a giant dude lifting really, really heavy weights.
Yeah.
But like, wow, holy shit, that was so noticeable.
The light salt, let me just, I guess, put you guys onto this. If you made it this far, I highly recommend it because it works out to be like less than 4 cents a serving, right? Just get a water bottle. You do like 1/4 to 2/4 of a teaspoon of Morton's light salt. And it's 50-50 sodium potassium. So unlike just putting pink salt in there, it's not just sodium. It's like one of these more expensive hydration drinks. And then the lemon Mio. It tastes almost the exact same as the liquid IVs you get from Costco for $1 million that people are addicted to. Phenomenal. It's cheap. You can make a bunch of them and throw it in a backpack if you're working outside one day to really try to keep on top of your hydration. Those of you who work outside, like a couple of my guys work outdoor jobs, and they're like, I've been having some trouble like this summer with getting my training sessions in. This is a game changer, and it's really cheap. And yes, there's no carbs, so same critique there. Eat some carbs.
This was a real discovery for me. It's like the people who are consuming the most sports drinks are not like, I don't know, high schoolers that I thought. It's construction dudes that are hungover trying to recover halfway through their shift. Every single dude I worked at like the tire yard with would come in miserable. Just be like, I need coffee and a Gatorade. Like, and they were so, they were like, put me on like different body armor flavors. Those dudes were just pouring through hydration drinks, coming in so miserable, being like, this one makes me feel better by at least 1. I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude. Like, I can't put a lunch down because my stomach's still upset from last night.
That's where you learn the meta, though. Those people have trial by fired rapid hydration.
Yeah. They were like, usually I'll do a body armor because it's good on potassium. And I was like, crazy that you know that word.
Genius.
Guy I know who smokes meth. And then they're Gatorade for the sodium. And those two together, I'll just mix them in a big thermos and I'll chuck that. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Stop drinking 50 Miller Lights and you'll probably feel fine. Like,
Binge drinking meth head puts more thought into his hydration than average powerlifter.
yeah, I bet he feels like he's going to die.
Dude, if I miss enough water, I don't know how people live like that, man. Like if I
It's
don't
all
drink
the
enough
time.
water, I feel like I'm like actually on the verge of death.
Sometimes I think about if the idea of like my stomach was as upset as it would be from eating shit food and I was dehydrated and probably had a headache all the time, I'd probably be depressed too. Like all these people that I know that are like young, healthy, just like generally your life is awesome and you're like really sad somehow. I'm like, I think you have a headache all the time and your low back is weak. Like
You got a headache and you're shitting yourself every time you like twice a day.
that probably does make life more depressing.
Yeah, I felt that way when I stopped eating cheese. I was like, this is a fundamentally different life.
You should be like, dang, maybe I don't need SSRIs. I just need to stop eating 4 pounds of cheese a
Well,
day.
everything fucking has cheese in it. I can't eat anything. It's crazy.
You still eat cheese.
Every once in a while.
Bro spams lactate. It's just fucking.
Kirsten does consume a
Just
lot of
opens
those
a fanny pack
lactose.
of hundreds of.
ran out a couple months ago. I've been pretty good about not.
Nah.
I feel like that might be a net negative. All right, guys, that's where we're going to end the episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Maybe we'll post more episodes to the Patreon sometime.
Yeah, boy.